Minasan konnichiwa, Hinekidori desu. In this video I wanted to show you some basics in building a card in Anki. To do this I figured I would start from the beginning, a fresh card, fresh deck and everything, and I'll build a card from scratch using the most basic coding. So to begin with, I'm in a brand new deck and I'm going to go ahead and add a new card. We'll start off with just the basic setup. And here what I want to do is I want to go ahead and adjust the fields to something that I prefer. And this is also a good moment to show you what you can change in it. The standard fields are front and back in basic, but you can change those names. So I would like to rename them. So the front I'm going to go ahead and rename as expression, and the back I will rename as meaning. Also, in this card for kicks, I decided I would make a card based on Tolkien's Tengwar, doing some Elvish just to geek out a little bit. So in expression, I'm going to want to use a font that fits with that. So I'm going to change that. And then I'm going to go ahead and change the other font to my go-to font, which is Noto Sans in regular. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and fill the fields. And this means glorious. Alright, so I have the beginning of my card, an expression and a meaning. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. And now we can take a look at my first card. So as you can see here, this is a standard layout. This is just the very basics of what it would look like. And already the card doesn't make sense because since it uses a specific font to get what I want on the front, right now it's just coming out in gibberish because it's not using that font. So I'm going to want to change that. So why don't we go ahead and go into edit and click on cards to actually edit the styling. Right here in the styling window, you're going to see that this first bit of coding is what's essentially the default coding for the card. So this is the base that we're going to be working off of in order to build the card. So to start out with, I'm just going to go ahead and delete that and put in my own styling. To begin with, I'm going to want to go ahead and put a base background color on it. I don't want white, I want something a little softer. So this is the coding for that. And let's do a gray. So we'll go with that. Perfect. Next, I want sort of the default font. So that's going to be Noto Sans again. Regular. My default font size will be 25. I'm going to want the text to be centered, so we'll go ahead and put that in. And the margins I'm going to want all the way to the edge, so I'll put that in as well. 0. Alright, now we have our base. But now I want to go ahead and change the expression. So in order to do that, I have to create what's called a div. So this is how we start with that. I am going to mark it as a class, And we're going to go ahead and call that expression as well. And we're going to close it. Alright, so this is where we really begin building the card. So expression is going to be the new div. So all I have to do is create that. And now I can start filling in the code to alter just that alone. So we're just going to alter the expression. So we'll start with the background color first. And for kicks, we're going to turn that into purple. I want that font family changed. And we're going to use Tengwar. Looking good, but it's not very visible now, is it? So we're going to go ahead and change the color to white. So you notice when it just says color, it's just referring to the font. You'll have to say background color if you want to do the background itself. Alright. Now I want that bigger. This is going to be the focal point of my card. So I want the text and I want the background itself to be bigger. There are a number of other ways to do it, but just for simplicity's sake, just the basic way to get this is to go ahead and change the font size first, and then wrap the background around it. So first we're going to change font size for this. We're just going to make it big, 100. From here, I'm going to expand on the background. I kind of want it to be equal on both top and bottom. So I'm just going to multiply that by 3 to get the height. So that's 300 pixels. But I want that centered. So to get that centered in, I'm just going to go ahead and change the line height. So that'll push it down. So instead of height, we're using line height, and we get that. Okay, so now we have my focal point of the card. And you can see down here in the back preview that the standard or default setup has this line and then the back on it. Well, I'm going to want to change that. I like to mimic Wanikani. So I'm going to take that line out, and I'm going to create a new one myself. So that means I'm going to need to create a new div. So I'm going to put that in. We're going to delete that, and we're going to change that. We're going to call this div quests. And since this is going to be standard throughout the whole card, or all the cards that I add to this, I'm going to go ahead and just put in the text in the code. So vocabulary, call this meaning. I'm going to want that to be bold, so I'm just going to go ahead and add the bold in there. And there you go. So here we go again. We're going to make another div. This is going to be quest. Change that background color. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop it in like this. This is going to be black. Black. I'm going to want to change the color again. I'll just copy that in. White. And then I want to change the height. So since it's already default at 25, times it by 3, I'm going to turn that into 75. And bam, we're done. This is kind of sitting a little close here, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a break to separate it, and we're done. That's it as far as this card goes. I got a front, I got a back. Let's take a look at it. I have the expression in question, I show it, and I have my answer. Pretty simple. So that's the basics of coding to use this. There are other things obviously to change the look of it further, but as far as like adding in backgrounds and separating, it's really not that difficult, and I hope this was helpful. In the next video, I'm going to start talking about putting in a text box and how you can style that as well. So I hope everybody enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.